everyone, it's Penny here with Well Power, and I have a special guest with me today. If you haven't noticed, I have my friend Hoti here, and we are going to do a little tapping with you today. The reason Hoti is with me is because he's a really happy guy, but I can also demonstrate some tapping spots on Hoti, and I will also demonstrate them on myself, but I thought it might be easier at first to demonstrate it on this guy. You know, you might think the belly might be something that we would tap, and we usually rub the belly for good luck, but we won't be doing any tapping on the belly. So for those of you who are new to tapping or EFT, emotional freedom technique, is something that we do to just bring our stress level down a little bit. And the way it works is we follow acupuncture points or meridians, and so we tap on those points, and it actually helps us bring our stress level down and kind of stop our brain from going a little bit berserk. And so there are some key points, and one of them, as I will demonstrate here on my moving Buddha, is top of the head. So right up here on the top of the head, you could take like your thumb and your fingers and go right up to the top of your head and just say, I'm going to start tapping there. That's what we call top of the head. The next one is eyebrow. So right here on the inside of Hoti's eyebrow, we're going to tap there. So right here, or you can use both hands and do it. The next is side of the eye. So we're going to tap on the side of your eye, if you can tap there. And you can just use 1 or 2 or 3 fingers, just do some tapping. Next one is under the eye. So we're going to go right here and tap under the eye. So that's under the eye. Next one is under the nose. So right here on Mr. Hoti, right there. Then we have chin, which is between your lip and your chin, where you have that indentation point. So that's the next spot. And then the collarbone, we're going to tap here. So that's another spot. So we always start our tapping with a setup statement, or we don't always. Sometimes I just totally break the rules, because actually there's really not a way to do tapping wrong, but the tapping officials usually say we do a setup statement, and we usually start here, which we call the karate chop point. So we'll start here and we'll say 3 times, we'll say whatever it is we're feeling, even though I feel overwhelmed. And then we say, I love and accept myself right now. And I know some of you might not be real crazy about that statement, so you can also say, I choose to be kind to myself, or I choose to let this thought go, or something like that. So we'll set it up, and we'll do that first. Now there are more points that you can use. Some people use this one, but it kind of makes me feel like a little bit of a monkey when I do that one. So if you're feeling super silly and you want to do this one, you can. Sometimes people will just tap here too. There's thing is we say, what are we feeling? What are we feeling anxious about? What are we concerned about? And then we give that a number from 1 to 10, with 1 being I'm really chilled out, I really don't have any issues with that. And then so we start with 1 being I'm really good, I'm pretty chilled out, I'm not really that uptight about anything right now, and I'm really pretty relaxed. 10 being it's like I'm having a major meltdown. So most people, when they need to tap, they're going to be more on the upper scale of things, like they might be hovering around the 9, 10 place, or 8. So what we're really trying to do is bring that anxiety down, or the worries down, or the crazy thoughts that are running through our heads. We're just trying to get a little bit control of them. So we like to start and give it a number just so we remember, because when we start to feel better, we forget that we were at a major meltdown point. So you might just want to think about whatever it is you're worried about. What we're going to do for the sake of this video is we did some tapping at Asilomar, and we had all been in a workshop where we were learning how to host retreats, and it was great information, but there was a lot of it, and we were surrounded by our peers who are brilliant and talented and really getting the hang of it. And many of us, I think, inside felt like, oh my gosh, I'm such a doofus. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what any of this means. So what I offered to do was a tapping session to just bring all that noise down in our head and the anxiety, and kind of say the thing like, you know, there's the elephant in the room thing, like, I don't get what's going on. I'm never going to get this. So by actually doing that, we were able to bring the anxiety down, laugh a lot about it, because I think we all think when we're in a group that everybody knows what's going on except me. And that's a terrifying thought. It's like I'm just like a fraud. I don't know what I'm doing and everybody's going to figure it out. So what I usually do when I do tapping with people is I will ask the group to give me some words. I want to know in your words how you're feeling, so then I can kind of weave that through what I'm going to say. And some people think tapping or any kind of healing modality has to be super serious. And those of you who know me know there's nothing serious about me. I mean, I have a job where people call me ma'am, and they do think that I'm pretty serious. But when I do this, I like to have fun because, to me, the only way you can really get at some of this stuff is by laughing and crying a bit too. I mean, it's not pretty because the things in our head are not always that complimentary. So that brings me to another point that a lot of times people will say, I don't want to affirm this negative stuff. Why are you starting out and saying all this stuff that sounds so horribly negative? Well, here's the deal. It hangs out in our head. I don't know. I don't know if well, I'm guessing you haven't spent that much time in my head, but it's not a pretty place sometimes. I mean, when I get going on some like slippery slope of negativity, I can't be stopped. And I say some pretty horrible things to myself. And I really, voicing that allows me to hear it. And then I feel a little bit like, whoa, who's talking to me like that? I mean, I don't know how many of you have ever done this, but you say things to yourself that I know you would never, ever say to someone you love. You would never say it to your best friend. You'd never just say it to even somebody you just met. You just wouldn't talk to yourself like that. And yet, or you wouldn't talk to them like that, but you talk to yourself like that probably all day long. So we're just going to stop that. We're going to put an end to that. And but first we're going to say it, because when you hear it, then you sort of start to have a little more compassion for yourself. And that's what we're going for with this tapping. It's like we're going to voice all the stuff that we're feeling, but then when we say it, we're going to say, is that really true? And many times it isn't really true, right? So I'm just, this is not going to be exactly how it was on the night that I did it, because that was actually magical, because we had a lot of people. And when you bring a group of people together and you can pull on their energy and you can build on that energy, and, they're just all magical people anyway. So it was very, very cool. But I'm just going to give you the gist of it. I might be sometimes kind of looking at my notes because I want to make sure that I incorporate some of the things that people said, because they were really good. And even though this might not have anything to do with you, you may never want to run a retreat, or you may not ever feel some of the ways that I'm going to mention here, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to relate it to something in your life that you felt this way. And I think probably the most freeing thing about this is when you understand you are not alone. And please know, you are never alone. I mean, there are billions of people on the planet, and someone somewhere is experiencing the same thing as you are. So without further ado, we are going to start with the setup statement. And in this particular case, I'm going to go back to where we were at the workshop, and I'm going to use the example of, we were in this very intense workshop for 5 days. So it was Friday night, and I think that day we had just done all the financial information. So unless you're like an accountant type, that was a grueling day. So there was a lot of business basics and financials, and it was just like our heads were spinning. So we just wanted to get kind of through this. So we're going to do 3 rounds of tapping, and the first one is just going to start with this kind of yucky feeling of, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? And then we're going to move through that. So we'll go through, and then we'll pause and then reevaluate, and then we'll do a second round, because we start of where we are and then we try and turn it around. Okay?